Oh, don't worry. Nudes are very difficult.
To tell you the truth, that's the first one I've ever had trouble with.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Cosy Crime Classics Podcast. The Rockford Files, Counter Gambit. Good afternoon, Ian. What's your experience with nudes?
Well, I'm glad that you started wearing trousers to do the podcast. That's my main feedback on that one.
Only because it's getting chillier, and you know how that affects me.
It certainly does.
How are things?
Not too bad. How are you, Gerry?
Chilly?
Yeah, clearly. Shouldn't do all that wild swimming.
No.
Crazy hobby.
Yep. Makes a eunuch out of us all.
It does. Rockford Files again this week. Episode 16 by my count.
Is it?
I don't know. It's in that vicinity.
Counter
Tail end
Gambit.
of season 1. Counter Gambit's a chess term.
Yeah. Just because you watched the Queen's Gambit.
I did not.
Did you not watch
I know
that?
that you're into board games and stuff like that for children.
Well, for children. Another enjoyable episode.
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've chosen well.
Massive The Sting vibes. You haven't seen that movie, so you won't really know what I'm talking about.
Something to do with every breath you take.
Mm-hmm.
Why did we choose this episode?
Some Columbo connections, probably.
Yeah. Also, it's highly rated.
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah. We hoped it would be popular. And I think it will be. Folk like the Rockford Files, they must like this episode, I would imagine.
I would have thought so.
Any other thoughts before we lean in?
Nah. Do you have a summary?
I do.
Crack on.
In this week's episode, Jim is given an offer he can't refuse by a man he served time with, and finds himself engaged in a game of plot and counterplot as all involved realise the others around them cannot be trusted. With the cops closing in on him, Rockford needs to recover a valuable string of pearls and get the girl. But can he execute his multi-layered plan? Or will brawn beat finesse?
Thank you. Before we begin proper this week, can we come to an agreement we will not make any pearl necklace jokes?
I didn't even have any in my notes.
But in your mind?
Well, I knew that yours would be
Littered.
spattered.
Drenched. Defaced. No, let's not.
It's like Jackson Pollock in here.
The proverbial painter's radio.
Yeah, well.
Is this cosy?
Cozy enough.
Yeah. Probably have to cut quite a bit of that.
If you want to complain about that, get to the socials, the usual Columbo podcast ones that I mention every week. And if you want to fast forward to next week's episode and miss all this, it's on YouTube already.
We've got it out of our system, yeah?
Yeah. Well,
as the actress says to the bishop. Childish. The answer phone. Did you take a note of the message?
I enjoyed it. Yes, it was quite funny.
What was it?
It's a guy phoning up saying he's wanting to pay him the money he owes him, but he's off on a flight and they'll see him next year.
Off to Tokyo, yeah. We begin by seeing Jim unenthusiastically visit a former prison mate and find out why he is not overly keen on being there.
Yeah, they didn't get on when they were in prison.
Moss Williams is a violent head case.
Yes. He tried to kill Jim previously, not that long ago.
And you think this may be quite light-hearted, like, maybe a bit of a scrap, a bit of a fight. But no, apparently he put him in the prison hospital for a number of months.
Yes, he had a broken jaw and 2 separated ribs. How do you separate a rib?
Oof.
I mean, I can do it at TGI Fridays, but...
Yeah, well, same idea.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if that would put you in hospital for months, would it? A broken jaw and a couple
I was going to TGI Fridays, mate.
Oh, yeah. Sitting in the toilets for a while. This character reminded me of another Columbo alumni.
Which one?
William Smith.
Mr. Universe? No, Fantastic?
Mr.
No.
Fantastic, yes. He was also in Maniac Cop and numerous other things, but at the time, and I think his IMDb has since been amended, but he apparently had achieved everything. He was world arm wrestling champion, sit-up champion, shooter, he wrote poetry, rodeos. I think he claimed to be the Marlboro, maybe he was a Marlboro man at one point, don't know, but he was one of these guys, so you think, oh, you've had some life.
You've gone into that in some depth previously when he was in Columbo, yeah. But I know what you mean. He certainly had that aura about him, didn't he? Moss.
How much has Jim been paid to turn up?
$200.
That's, I think, his daily rate.
It is.
And what's he there to do, or what does Moss want him to do?
Well, Moss tells him he wants him to find a girl.
His girl.
Well, he says it's his girl when Jim objects initially.
Why does he need help here? What's happened to her?
She used to write to him daily, but hasn't for 3 months.
It's taken him 3 months to work out something might be up, apparently.
Yeah. Do we ever find out whether there actually is a connection between Moss and this girl?
In what sense? There obviously is a connection.
Is there?
I think so. No?
Well, I don't know. This is it. There's so much of this plot that when you look back at it, you're not sure who was telling the truth
Yes.
at what point and who was working with who at what stage. So trying to work it backwards, I'm not entirely sure what the connection is.
I'll admit that this is the type of episode, it's not quite the usual suspects, but it could do with a couple of rewatches, which we've not done. We've watched it one time only.
I watched it twice, but yes.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, I've watched it once. So yeah, definitely we'll be asking questions. We will definitely get things wrong.
We might not answer the questions.
We won't answer the questions. So feel free, dear listeners, to enlighten us, correct us, or give us your thoughts and theories.
I think you can watch it on two levels. You can try and figure it all out, or you can just enjoy.
Well, that's the thing.
episode.
Again, if I was watching this just casually, I probably would not have picked up in any of the areas I wasn't sure about. It wouldn't have bothered me. But
No.
you're taking notes, you're trying to work it out.
This is it.
Yeah.
Things pop up.
Moss is getting out of jail in a week's time, and he wants to know what's happened to her so that he doesn't have to find out himself and get himself in trouble, because he has a well-known, he's infamously has a short temper.
I'm not sure how knowing in advance that his girlfriend is going off with some other guy is going to stop him from exercising his temper.
I suppose, taking this on at face value, if he goes round there and finds her in bed with another man, he might snap and do damage to one or both of them. Whereas just now, at least, if he did know that was the situation, potentially you've taken some of the sting out of it. It's not going to be a shock to you.
Yeah, and you can go at a more appropriate time.
Maybe if he was sensible, which I don't think he is, he would leave aside when he goes to visit, not bring a gun with him.
That seems unlikely from what we find out. Jim is concerned at this stage about why Moss would select him when there's so many PIs he hasn't tried to kill available.
Pretty simple. They don't like each other, but he trusts Jim. He knows they'll get a fair deal because he is an ex-con himself. And I think Jim tries to reject the
He certainly
offer,
doesn't accept the offer at this stage.
but Moss tells him, no, you're doing it. He's that sort of scary. It's like, have you seen Sexy Beast?
Not recently.
Very good movie. That same type of character,
Okay.
where he just tries to overpower you physically and I suppose
Force of
psychologically.
will,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're doing it, and that's it.
We head back to Jim's trailer and he's on the phone to his dentist.
Yes, this is another example of his cash flow problems. He owes him some money.
Yeah, this is obviously to explain why he might consider taking the job.
Yeah, we find that out. There is an urgent sounding knock at his door. Who is it?
It's Daniel Kramer.
Who's Daniel Kramer?
He's the guy who was involved in Kramer versus Kramer. Or not, I don't know. He is Moss Williams' attorney, and he is here with a proposition for Jim that's a bit more specific.
Yeah, and initially Jim tells him that he will not be taking the case. However, after being shown a picture of the woman he has to find, Jim's position softens somewhat.
Well, how did a woman like this get mixed up with a goon like Moss Williams?
Yes, well, there's no accounting for taste. There are some women, well-bred, good families, who seem to find it physically exciting to associate themselves with...
Gorillas?
Yes, of course. In any event, this is her last known address.
I'm
and
not working for Moss Williams.
And a cashier's check in the amount of $500. There'll be more if you need it.
I'll be dealing with you.
That's correct.
I won't have to see Moss. I won't have to talk to him at all.
You'll report directly to me. What do you say, Mr. Rockford? Will you accept the assignment?
Of course, as you mentioned, with the dental bill fresh in his mind, as well as the sight of the target, Jim reluctantly agrees.
He does, and he heads to an apartment.
Which looked like a motel. Is it? I think it is a motel. I don't
Is
know.
it?
Maybe it's one of these sort of longer term. It's a motel, but you can rent it longer term. I don't know.
He goes to door number 12 up the stairs, where he disguised himself as an Avon-type sales agent,
So this is the apartment of Maria.
apparently. It's not apparent if she's actually there.
No.
We never see her.
So is she simply been ignoring Moss then? Or
Well, this is it. We don't know if she is involved with Moss at all.
Because-
So I think there's a line you can take, or an approach, or a view of the episode you can take where Moss has never been involved with Maria. He wants to steal her necklace.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the whole thing.
because you would think that if she knew the type of character and how Moss would react, and also she must have an idea that when he's getting out, she probably wouldn't want to hang around with a new guy.
I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong when we get to it, but I don't recall any point in the episode where she talks about Moss as someone that she knows.
I can't remember again, watching that one time, not sure. Anyway, as you mentioned, Jim goes all Fletch again as he pretends to be from I think it's like a beauty school.
It's a very specific character that he's going for here. He says he's from the Rothschild Beauty Foundation. So essentially he wants to recruit Maria to sell for them locally. And
he wants to speak to the little woman.
Again, very deliberately chosen language. And he meets this man who we learn later is Harry Crown.
Yeah, he is not interested, but when he is called on to get a robe by Maria, Jim enters the room.
Do we hear her?
Yes. She shouts, "Yeah, get me a robe." That's why he leaves. That's why Jim can get in.
Okay, it might not be her. We don't see her. It could be anybody.
Yeah, that is true. He snoops around and this is a point because he picks up. Yes.
It's the same picture.
It's exactly the same picture. Yeah. And why would she have a picture of herself in her apartment?
Yeah. It's like it's there for him to find.
No, this makes more sense now, yeah. Yes, it's this framed photograph that...
So the theory that we have here, and again, we're working ahead and back again, is that by this stage, Harry Crown is already working with Moss Williams.
Yes.
And the woman's not involved at this stage.
Well, yeah, let's run with that assumption at the moment, because he's away. See, it's almost as if he wants him to come in and see the picture, because he's away for an awful long time. It's literally like 40 or 50 seconds in a tiny motel room just to hand over a robe.
Yes. And then he comes back to say, no, you can't speak to her, go away.
He continues with his nonsense and he effectively is thrown out. The next morning, and Jim is disturbed again at his trailer, this time by an angry Moss who bursts through the chain lock and points his gun at him and demands to know where Maria is, despite the arrangement of only dealing with Kramer.
Yes, who we never see again.
Jim thinks he might kill her, but even though he knows that he is stupid, Moss that is, he does accept that he's unlikely to do this as he's going to be the prime suspect.
Of course. So they head towards this apartment / motel / whatever it is, where outside in the car, Jim urges Moss not to take his gun in with him.
Moss dismisses any of Jim's suggestions or advice, tells him to drive around the back.
Yes, and conveniently out the back, he bumps into Harry,
putting out the trash. Moss gives the apparently terrified Crown a slapping, a back and forth, and holds him, he grabs his collar as Crown promises he hasn't tried to cut him out of a deal. But they can't ask Maria about it as she has gone or she disappeared when he woke up.
How convenient.
Moss wants answers, but for some reason, this, the first watching seemed weird. Crown says, no, he actually begs, no, don't make me talk, don't make me say it in front of this guy.
Yes, it's so Jim thinks he's overheard this rather than hearing it deliberately. So they're planting this information for him to hear.
They quietly talk between themselves. All we hear is that Maria got away with something, and then Moss stalks to the car, sneering as he admits that he does have a temper and he might not always tell the truth.
But Jim has news for him.
What's that?
His retainer is fully spent, and that's the end of it.
And while not happy, Moss sanctions another $500 for him.
Initially, he says he spent $700 and got nothing for it, and I'm like, $700? But yeah, $200 to go to the prison initially, and then $500 from Kramer.
What's the $500 for? It's in multiples of 2.
That was to convince him to take the job.
Okay.
Well, maybe he's done 2.5 days. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah. Jim doesn't think he is being told the truth.
Yes, he thinks that Maria is not the target of Moss's attention. It's whatever she's taken with her, because he obviously overheard Crown saying this.
So Moss confirms this, and Jim then tells him that he wants no part of the mess that he's getting into. And then, back at the trailer, for the third time, Jim is disturbed, this time by Dr. Jellyfinger, a.k.a. Edgar Birch.
Yes, he's ostensibly a rep for an insurance company.
There are a lot of similarities to last week's episode, wasn't there?
There's the Moss and there's the insurance, but these weren't back-to-back episodes when they aired.
No. So, firstly, and this is interesting, Birch threatens subtly, or not too subtly, threatens him with consorting with a felon. So he knows that he has been seen with Moss.
Yes, and he says this is a parole violation and you'll go back to prison, but Jim tells him he's not on parole.
Yes, instead he was pardoned, and then tells Birch that he has 10 seconds to get out as he backs him up, but pauses the removal when Birch mentions the property involved in the situation.
Yes, he works for the Midwest Marine and Casualty Insurance Company and tells Jim that Moss and Crown stole, I'm mixing first and surnames there, Williams and Crown stole a pearl necklace that was insured for a value of $250,000 and were then imprisoned on unrelated charges, and he now thinks they're going to try and move the pearls.
This also reminded me a little bit of Murder, She Wrote with Stoner, after the bank robbery.
Yes,
the insurance guy was following...
the one we did a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. So the company he works for has an incentive scheme for their investigators. He can get himself, Birch that is, 25% of the salvage value if he can find the necklace. He's been working the case for 3 years and he thinks he can make a breakthrough with Jim's help.
Yes, so we head over to Midwest Marine and Casualty Company. We see a big sign on the door in this tower block, and inside, Jim and Birch speak with Mr. Cutter, an executive of the company.
Both Cutter and Jim are wondering why Jim has to be involved, and Birch tells him that Maria will run if she sees either Moss or Crown, and they will run if they see Birch. So Jim's going to try and get close to her, and unlike last time, he has the upper hand in the negotiations. Yes, so he tries to push for 60% of the recovery fee and ultimately settles for the 50-50 split that Birch counters with. Now, this is odd because Jim's got no real... Birch could go to any private eye. What's Jim bringing to the table here? Well, from Birch's perspective, yeah, he's just a third party, or from the presented perspective. Yeah. Jim maybe would... But then he knows that Jim's been hanging out with Moss, so he's got an in. So he's got this sort of double agent possibility. Yeah. I don't really buy into... And it's mentioned a few times here. So if Maria sees any of them, she'll run. But what do you mean run? If they know where she is, Williams is not the type of guy, Moss Williams isn't the type of guy who's going to try and persuade her by negotiation. This is all lies, so we need to take it. Yeah, but Jim has to think it like this. Yeah. This doesn't seem that right. Moss will simply find out where she lives, kick in her door, and then grab her by the neck, give her a slap and say, "Where's the necklace?" Yeah, so she won't get a chance to run. What Moss, Williams and Harry Crown are doing here is they're playing on the fact that Jim thinks he's smarter than them. Yes. So they're giving him just enough information to make him think he knows what's going on, so he doesn't interrogate it too deeply, thinks they're idiots and he can take advantage of them. Yeah, so he leaves the office having negotiated this 50% cut off Birch's 25%. Yes. And he finds out as well from Cutter that they've got pictures, anything they insure, they take images off, so... they can show him exactly what he needs to see. And in the outer office, Birch takes some pleasure in the fact that Jim is taking a tremendous risk in double-crossing Moss. Yes, which gives them some comfort from an insurance point of view that he won't run off with the value. But not just that, just from the point of view that he's negotiated this 50%, he thinks, okay, at least he's working for it. Yes, well, there's that, yes. Over at the apartment, Crown is reluctant to bring Jim back into the deal, but Moss makes it clear that he is the boss.
I'll find her for you.
What changed your mind?
Well, I've got this loan shark after me. He's about to break the fingers on my right hand. I figure it's a little better dealing with you than getting my hand ground up, if the price is right.
You're too late, pal. We already found the girl.
Is she here?
No, but we know where she is.
Only you haven't made your move yet, because you know the minute she takes a look at either one of you, she's gonna grab it. And she's gonna take with her whatever it is you're so anxious to get back.
Don't let him in, Moss. We can handle it.
Oh, he's right. It's gonna take somebody she's never seen.
Now listen, I got something to say.
I
gotta say no!
I say yes. We're not gonna argue with me, are we? Because when we argue with me, we lose our teeth. All right, you're in for a third. Now, she calls herself Valerie Thomas. She says her old man's dead. She drinks scotch and water with no ice. And she's got this thing about detail. That's how come she's always taking all these courses. Now, watch yourself with her, because she's real sharp. So, yeah, as I mentioned a few moments ago, it doesn't really sit. I don't know why Jim is believing this, or if he is believing it, but watching it live, I'm thinking, yeah, they know where she lives. They know that she goes to these art classes or whatever.
They've been tailing her. All this talk about running. Moss will just turn up and grab her.
Well, Jim's quite credulous here. He seems to think that because he is, again, here presents this as his own idea, or they've let him think it's his idea, that they need him. So he's bought into that completely at this stage.
In any case, Jim finds himself next to Maria in art class, focusing on the human form, as we heard at the top of the podcast, where he uses his charm to end up in a restaurant with her.
Yes, it's not entirely clear who's flirting harder with who in this particular scene, but they go to this bar and talk about their shared experience of London. So I think he's been tipped off that she went to London, and he's using it as a line at this point.
Yeah, I think he's been given information by Moss, and also I think it's shown here that he has an understanding of perhaps human nature. He knows how to manipulate people. So that's a skill that obviously is useful in his line of work.
Yeah.
In any case, he wins her confidence.
Yeah, so what I think is happening here is Marie is just a name that Moss and Harry have made up. Valerie's her real name, she's their mark, and Jim is the one that's being misled.
He reports back to the pair as he receives additional funds and assures the sceptical Harry that he can't push it further just now regarding the necklace, but that everything else that they told him checks out.
Yeah, so Harry wants to know what guarantee they have that Jim hasn't got the pearls already and is going to basically double cross them.
But Moss answers this. He says, "You don't want to die."
Yeah, I think that was in the pre-episode sort of
Sure.
highlights. Jim is meeting Valerie again that evening and wants another $50 to pay for the meal, which Harry is outraged about.
Yeah, but he says, listen, she's a sophisticated woman. I can't take her for a hot dog or whatever.
Yeah, she has expensive tastes.
Yeah, so at her place, Jim's obviously got the Wayne Jennings touch, I think.
It looks like it.
In this case, because he's only met her and she is all over him.
She absolutely is. And he has shown up late with an excuse.
What's that?
An old friend, or a friend who is old, as he puts it, showed up at his place to waylay him and has given him a box of valuable papers that he needs to find.
I think it's like bearer bonds or something.
Yeah, he's asking if the building is a secure one, if he can use the vault. And
it's an order, maybe in California back in the day that was a common thing. Oh, I'm sure your apartment's got a guarded vault in the basement. Can I use it?
But she offers him the use of her own safe, as he had hoped she would.
Yeah, she's got a false bookshelf, which he opens to reveal. He thanks her and promises that he will pick them up in the morning. So, again, he's a bit of a gentleman here. Considering how into him she obviously is, there's no assumption that he will be spending the night.
No. He is next seen, or we next see him in his trailer with a tape recorder.
Yeah, so he's picked up, this is obviously after he's picked up the box.
Yeah.
The tape recorder had been left in the box, which unbelievably allows him to hear the clicks on the combination lock and work out the code. I didn't really...
This took me a second to figure out. So it must have been in the morning when it was unlocked that it's recorded. So you think he says it's sound activated? Mm-hmm. Because when it got put in the safe, the box wasn't inside, so that wouldn't make sense. So it must be when it was unlocked to remove the box that it started recording. So... was that technology available in the 70s? A sound-activated recording on a cassette recorder?
Probably. I don't think they would have invented sort of science fiction for that.
Yeah. Anyway, so he has got this recording of... But then you hear him talking briefly on the tape, and it's not... Is it what we heard?
Well, maybe it stops. So maybe it's recording at that point. It gets put in, it stops, and then it starts again.
When it hears the sound of it, yes. And that's... So he's going back and forward in this tape.
It's taking a lot of time.
And it's all clips. How does he know how far back to go in the tape?
Well, explain... I don't know. I don't believe it. But anyway, he does explain to Rocky who has entered. He's come in with some beers for the fridge. Also, there's a photo of Rocky on his own table, or Jim's table. That's a bit weird.
A bit like the girl in the apartment. Yeah. Maybe that's why you believed it.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah.
Rocky asks him the question that I was thinking.
What's that?
Once you know the combination, how do you know whether to start going right or left?
He explains this. I can't be bothered.
You try one. If it doesn't work, you try the other.
Okay. And Rocky, whilst impressed with the ingenuity, is clearly worried that he plans on robbing someone. And I think we discussed this a few hours ago, because we don't really know the relationship and how they think and treat of each other. But yeah, I think it's obvious to assume that Jim has spent time in prison.
Yeah, so the impression I get is that Rocky isn't involved. He just doesn't want Jim to go to prison, whatever he's up to.
Yeah, and I don't think for a second that Rocky believes that Jim will be robbing people, but he does associate in circles that are a bit murky, and he might end up getting himself into trouble.
We next find Jim back at Valerie's apartment where she is cooking for him.
Yeah, she's messing with her souffle in the kitchen.
And obviously he must have led her to suggest this or suggested this himself, because this is the opportunity he needs to try out the combination of the safe.
He opens it up and sure enough he finds the necklace, but he leaves it in place for now.
We find him then downstairs, I presume, in the same building.
Or is it? Yeah, okay.
Phoning from a payphone the police office.
Yes, he tries to ingratiate himself. He calls Dennis Becker, who answers, his old buddy.
Have we seen Dennis Becker in previous episodes?
We've not seen him, but yes, I don't think this is his first, and he is a regular character. So he's not that happy to hear from him, as he knows he'll want something, and reminds him that the department is not his information bureau where, like a secretary for Jim.
What Jim wants to know is, in a hypothetical scenario where he recovered some stolen jewellery for the police, how long would they hold on to that piece of jewellery? Would it be until trial?
I'm no expert on how these things worked in Los Angeles, California back in the 70s. It didn't feel like this. He says, a couple of weeks, we'll take pictures, we'll get it assessed, and then you can come and pick it up. You can just have it.
That doesn't make any sense at all.
£250,000. So in the 70s, what would that be worth today? 4 or 5 million? I don't know.
No, I don't think that's happening
You're
at
not
all.
getting that.
No.
That's incredibly invaluable.
And also, it appears in the next scene that the reason he's asked this is so he can test the insurance guy. Well, first of all, why? And second of all, how does he know he wouldn't know? Anyway, we find him at, again, a motel/apartment.
It's Birch's place, but it looks like exactly the same place as where Moss was.
Yeah, but clearly it's completely different.
Is it?
Well, it must be, otherwise he would be sus.
Yeah, okay. So he goes to speak with Birch at his apartment and confirms that the pearls are in Valerie's safe and suggests giving the combination to the cops.
Yes, but Birch doesn't want to do that because they'll hold them until trial and then they won't get the recovery fee for months.
Jim is confused as to why he doesn't know the protocol that he just found out from Dennis.
Yeah, this is why I get the impression, is that the reason he's found out the protocol? I don't get it. This
I
bit's
think
a
it
bit
was.
strange.
I think
So
it's
how
to
did he
find
know
it.
he would get it wrong?
Maybe he's suspicious of him.
Yeah.
Or maybe...
But then even if he's not a real insurance guy, he might still know the procedure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He grabs Birch to try and make him talk because he's now suspicious, but he gets an unwanted answer.
Yes, Moss and Crown, unbeknown to Jim, I think, but he'll figure it out, come out from behind and knock him out.
Yeah, they leave him unconscious on the floor. And so, after he wakes up, Jim returns to the insurance company, but like a scene from The Sting, an exact copy of that, he finds what?
The sign's on the door, but there's nobody home. The rooms are completely stripped and bare.
It's clearly just been a rented temporary office.
It's not just this thing, this is in a few different things.
Okay.
But yes.
Yeah, I think it all comes from The Sting.
Okay.
So back at the trailer, he calls Rocky, and he knows he's in bother, as the cops have apparently been around 3 times. So is this the cops or is this Moss? I don't know. That would be the cops, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's the actual cops, yeah.
Okay.
Because she's reported the theft of her necklace.
Yeah, Jim works out that he has been accused of stealing this, but not from Maria. Someone called Valerie Thomas. This is the first time he finds out that she's...
No, he's been told that that's the name she goes by. Moss told him that earlier on. He obviously knows her name. He's been hanging out with her.
Ah, yeah, no, that's true.
But the what happens here is Rocky says that's her name and he says that's not her real name.
Yes, that's it. Jim shakes his head at his own stupidity.
Yes, he has underestimated Moss and is just about figuring it out now.
He assures Rocky that he didn't steal it and he will get himself out of this trouble.
Rocky advises him at this point to get in touch with his lawyer friend. Is this someone that we've seen before and we'll see again?
That is Milo Janice's secretary.
Okay, she's working in the law now.
Yeah.
In her bikini still?
Hopefully.
Well, as you say, Jim promises Rocky he'll sort it out and then calls Becker.
Yeah, he tries to plead his innocence despite his little black book containing the information that Moss gave about Valerie.
And the safe combo.
Being found at the scene. He tells him that he was framed by Moss and Crown, although admits to looking in the safe. Obviously, his prints
Yeah, he says he
are
was
there.
just looking and is obviously not impressed by Becker's response that we do not hear.
He's not handing himself in.
No.
Instead,
in a very unsuspicious way.
This is, I didn't get this. So he hangs up and there's a very weird change of movement of expression.
No, that's him listening to Becker. So he says, I opened the safe but I didn't take them. Right. And obviously Becker's
Get out of here. Yeah. Okay. In any case, we next see him reveal himself to Valerie from the back seat of her car.
Hi.
What are you doing here?
Valerie, I got a pain in the neck and an incredible story that goes with it.
Tell it to the police.
Well, not quite yet. It's you I want to talk to.
Why? There's nothing left in the safe. Don't you think you ought to be moving on now to greener fields? Oh, of course, you want the insurance money, too. Well, you see, darling, they haven't paid off yet.
That's not a very nice thing to say. You make me sound like a crook.
Jim, your fingerprints were on the safe. They found a little black notebook that had all kinds of details in it about me.
And the cops told you that I was an ex-con, so it all adds up. Well, it doesn't. Trust me.
Trust you? Why would I do a dumb thing like that?
Because I need your help.
You want me to smuggle you across the border?
No. No, I want you to lend me $1,000.
Are you serious?
$1,000 will get your pearls back and get me out of a jam.
Either you've got more gall than anybody I've ever come up against, or you're innocent. I'm not sure which.
Take a chance.
She immediately looks to regret taking this chance.
Yes, when he takes her to see some porn at the cinema.
Yes. And as they enter, she hears an on-screen doctor suggest some experiments on a frustrated woman.
Well, they sit next to a familiar face to people who saw the pilot, apparently, but not to us, Angel.
A former cellmate who is uncomfortable that he brought Maria to this sex cinema where he's trying to pleasure himself. You mentioned Pee Wee Herman the other week, and it was disgraceful.
So the two most famous folk for misbehaviour in a cinema, Pee Wee Herman and Lee Harvey Oswald.
The cops have been all over Angel.
Yes, so obviously Jim's asked him to do something, which he has done, but is not willing to explain or answer until he gets a bit of cash.
He also reminds him what will happen if they're found together. But why?
Because Manny's on parole, he can't speak to another ex-con.
He's not an ex-con, that's my point. Jim was pardoned, an innocent man. He's not fraternising with an ex-con.
A pardon doesn't mean you're innocent. A pardon means that you've admitted it and been let off.
Well, I suppose, but in some cases it will be.
Part of getting a pardon is you have to confess the crime.
If it turns out it was a miscarriage of justice, what would happen? And a pardon as well, wouldn't it?
No, that would be you'd be exonerated or you'd be clear. That would be a different thing, yeah.
Okay, fair
So I
enough.
remember the whole thing with the current US president pardoning a whole bunch of folk. They had to confess their crime as part of it.
Yeah, but that's not always the case, is it? You have to
So,
confess.
yeah, you can't get pardoned if you're claiming your innocence. That's one of the reasons why I think on the Serial podcast, the guy on that wouldn't confess, and that's why he wasn't able to go for a pardon.
Okay. Jim acknowledges this, but asks if he spoke to Manny Tolan, who Moss will use to get the necklace appraised. So Manny's obviously one of these ones who, again, himself operates in the sort of shadows of the underworld.
First time through when I hadn't quite caught on to what was happening, this didn't make sense to me. Why would he need his own pearls appraised if they were his in the first place and he'd stolen them previously?
Yeah.
So it only makes sense if Moss has never owned the pearls and never had the pearls.
After being recompensed for the money spent on Irish whiskey for Tolan, he gives up the location of the meeting. This is the meeting that Tolan and Moss and Crown are going to have.
Yep.
And then Jim tells him he's going to have to impersonate Manny, as the chances are they haven't seen him.
I think Angel's very much in Jim's thrall. Like, he says no to everything, but he doesn't actually refuse to do anything when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I don't know the character well enough, but firstly, he's brilliant. I thought it was a really charismatic performance. But yeah, he himself, as well as part of this seedy sort of underworld, he's more of a criminal than Jim is. And even though he says, I don't want to get involved, I mean, that is probably his life. He's not going straight.
No. At this point, they need to make a phone call, so Jim tries to borrow a dime, but Valerie is completely stunned by what she's seen on the screen. It is non-verbal.
Before that, what is the plan here?
Oh, he's going to steal the pearls back at this appraisal.
So Angel is going to impersonate Manny. Jim will be in another room, and when the pearl necklace is handed over to Angel for this inspection, Jim will burst in with a gun and rob him.
I suspect that's not really Jim's plan.
I would like to think not. It's massively risky.
Yeah.
Are you sure that, because there's two of them, that one of them don't pull out their gun first?
I don't think this is the plan at all.
No, because also Jim would know that Moss would know that Jim is not the type of guy. He's not going to kill him. If he pulls out a gun in Moss, he's not going to shoot Moss so that he can rob He's not that type of character.
So the conclusion I came to is that Jim is telling Angel this because he thinks this is something Angel will agree to. Mm-hmm. Because if he told him the real plan, he suspects Angel might struggle.
Yeah, well, Angel is not sold on this and thinks it'll be splitting his jail time with Jim rather than a share of the money that he's being offered.
And then, like I said, the non-verbal Valerie provides a dime so they can make the phone call to Manny and divert him to another location. This doesn't make sense to me either, given what we see later on. So later on we find out that Manny's on their side and helps them. Okay. So why not just tell them what's going on? Well, unless Angel isn't in. So this is all for Angel's benefit. It could be that. Yep. It's like plots on top of plots. Yeah. It's Inception level stuff. In any case, we cut to Angel in the Green Frog Motel. Yes, as Manny, with his eyepiece in and inspecting a pearl as Moss and Crown lean over looking for a valuation. Only one pearl? Well, that's it. Before he tells him, Angel makes an excuse to go to the bathroom where Jim is waiting and in an extremely agitated state tells him the plan is a bust. As you said, they've only brought this one pearl, which is very smart. The idea that they wouldn't know he's talking to someone in the bathroom's absurd. But anyway, we'll take that. We'll, suspend disbelief for that one. Jim has a new plan. What's that? Which I suspect is his original plan. Okay. Manny should tell them that the pearls are paste, which I assume is a fake pearl. Made from some sort of hardened man-made paste, yeah. He's reluctant to do that, but agrees and then puts on a great performance once he's out there. He's brilliant. He's really good. Yeah. Totally convincing. I think Jim is even he's smiling as he listens. Yeah, he says that they don't have they have the wrong colour of aura and they're too spherical to be real pearls, which make Moss and Crown conclude that Jim has the real pearls. They don't say it out loud, but this is what they both think. They throw their money or hand over their money to Manny and then leave in a fury. And when they've gone, Angel is still unhappy, but relieved it's all over until Jim points out that it's not all over. Yeah, no, they're going to have to come after him now, so he needs Angel's help again. But he's out. Angel shouldn't be worried, I don't think, because if Angel is Manny, then why would they begin after him? Well, that's a good question, but I think this next scene is the audience that are being fooled. Yes, because in reality, if this is a guy that Moss uses, at some point in the future, he will speak to the real Manny and they'll work it out and they'll... Yeah, maybe. And they're all in jail together. Sure, that's the thing as well, isn't it? Because they've been in jail. So is Moss. Well, this is... So Moss must not know Angel? Yes. But maybe they're in different parts of the jail. It's still a big risk, isn't it? Yeah. Everyone knows everyone. At some point, we'll come into contact if they're all operating in You would think. But what's happened here is the end of this scene, Manny said he's out. So we are being misled now when he shows up to talk to Crown and Williams. Yeah, again, this is pure the sting. And as you said there, Angel goes straight up the stairs to Moss and Crown's room and apparently spills the beans.
I ain't Manny Tolan.
Well, why don't we start with who you are?
Well, the names don't matter. Angel. Everybody just calls me Angel.
Why'd you come on like you was Manny?
Because this friend of mine, he kind of pushed me into it.
What friend?
Well, it was a guy that I did time with, a guy named Jim Rockford.
Rockford?
Yeah, now look, I'm not trying to get him into any trouble, only he got me into trouble. He doesn't care about me, and he never did. All I just want to clear myself, you understand?
Where's Manny? What happened to Manny?
Well, Rockford mousetrapped him from the motel. Then he made me come on like I was Manny. I didn't want to do it. I said that to him. I said, I don't want to do it. But did you ever say no to him?
What are you telling us all this for?
Well, like I said, I want to clear myself with you guys and with Manny. I mean, you were bound to find out. He didn't think of that, but I know that. You're bound to find out. Then who do you come for? You come for him and me. Well, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to burn Rockford, because you're not going to mess with him. You got the pearls.
You mean they aren't paste?
No. He told me to say that. He was just buying time. They're real. I mean, if you don't believe me, go show them to Manny Tolan.
I said before, it's just brilliant. He's really good. That performance actually reminded me of Richard Pryor in something like maybe Stir Crazy when he's... Is that the one where he can't see? No. When he's playing sort of scared. He's having a bit of a breakdown. That sort of nervous... Is Gene Wilder in it? Yes, Gene Wilder is in it. It's one of my top 10 movies of all time. We find
Moss and Crown with Angel at Manny Tolan's apartment or office or whatever it is. It's not ever very clear what these places are.
Yeah, so Angel watches on and sees them shocked to hear that from Manny that the pearls are in fact fake.
Angel is most shocked of all and insists that Rockford doesn't have them. So what's going on?
Well, they surmise that Valerie must be behind it all and who's conned all of them.
Well, she's not deliberately conned them, but she's just kept copies in her safe for this situation.
Yes, he thinks that she was ripping off the insurance company.
Yeah, she's claiming that they were stolen when she had the real ones all along.
And so Moss decides that they can still win and that Rockford will still take the rap. That night, what do we see?
We see them break into her apartment and steal the real fake pearls.
Swap.
Put the other ones back.
Yes. They swap out the fakes for the real ones from the safe as far as they're concerned.
From their perspective, that's what happens. And the second that they leave, everybody comes flying out with the lights on.
Yes, we've got Manny, Jim and...
Manny's there. Sorry,
and
Angel.
Valerie. And Angel, yeah. Angel boasts about his latest performance in selling him out and how he should have went into bunco with his talent.
We get a quick segue to Moss and Harry with a fence or a couple of fences where they are convinced they now have the real pearls worth $250,000. Lucky they didn't go to these guys first.
Yes, but the potential buyers are not happy that they are trying to pass off paste and threatens them with traction. People love that. We had traction last week and in Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, a lot of traction going on back then. It cured everything. It's about like sawdust.
Leeches.
They are stunned and then it suddenly dawns on them what has happened.
Yeah, they've been had.
Yeah, but they never do anything about it and that's the end. Well,
a psycho like Moss isn't going to let this lie.
Why is he leaving it? Yeah, these guys aren't actually going to kill them now. They're just not going to buy the pearls. Yeah. So they're not in trouble.
Yeah.
Maybe they just, let the better man win. We got outsmarted on this occasion. Curse you, Rockford.
Yeah. Hats off to you.
Yeah. Better man won. That's the end. Over at Valerie's, Manny, who I don't understand where he got involved with these guys and why he's siding with them.
Well, maybe we don't know, is he an associate or does he become like one of the sort of the gang?
Yeah, I don't know. And if he was all along one of the gang, I don't know. But he says he was lying to Moss and Harry when he said that they were not real and it was hard for him to do so because they were so lovely.
Yeah, and they smirk at the fact that they had them, the real ones, but put them back into the safe. Valerie beams that he did it, and Angel looks for praise for his efforts, which he gets.
Yes, but only to a certain point. He's not able to persuade Jim that they should work together, and Jim reminds him that they discussed this previously in prison, and it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think they discussed over bread and water.
Valerie then is persuaded by Jim to call off Becker and the cops, and does so. Yes,
she phones up Becker, says that she had simply, or embarrassingly, misplaced the pearls in her glove drawer as we see Jim give her a kiss.
She has a very strong reaction to this kiss.
Does she? Well, go a bit weak at the knees.
Yeah, especially with Angel standing right across the room next to Manny.
Pearl necklaces all round.
And that's the end. So, what's your conclusion? Who was working with who at what point?
No, I think, as you said earlier on, I don't think Valerie was in it. I think Moss was trying to use Jim to effectively steal from Valerie, who was never involved with Moss and who hadn't stolen the pearls before. Yeah, and then the sort of double crossing, which was, like I said at the start and referenced throughout, was clearly inspired by
everybody else has listened to this saying, yeah, obviously. What do you mean?
Yeah. I think it does. It would benefit from a second viewing.
Or like a wee bit at the end where it goes back through it all and you see. But then, on the other hand, maybe that's treating your audience with a bit of respect. Let them figure out. Or also, it doesn't matter if they figure out as long as they enjoyed the fact that the good guys won in the end.
And I think everyone would have. It's a very good episode.
I thought it was even better than last week's, which I enjoyed quite a lot.
Yeah.
Good show.
That's a good show.
But too many episodes for us to do them all. Any other thoughts?
No. I think we just get through some of the trivia and what have you.
Okay, there's no particular special locations to talk about. The same apartment building.
So this episode was first broadcast on the 24th of January 1975. Unfortunately for me, quite a few Columbo connections, so I won't have to go through all their details. It was directed by Jackie Cooper. He died in 2011, aged 88, and we discussed him in the Columbo episode, Candidate for Crime, where he was the killer.
He was the one that had the kangaroo.
Nelson Hayward. We've also discussed one of this week's writers, Howard Burke. He died in 2016, aged 91, and he penned By Dawn's Early Light and The Conspirators, two classic episodes, two beloved episodes of the original Columbo. Now, you've got something perhaps you can...
Yeah, we haven't got around to doing it yet, but we heard recently from Howard's son, Peter, who is obviously very proud of his father's work and posthumously, from his father's point of view, published a story they'd worked on together called Time Lock as a novel, and I think he's still producing further editions of that. So it's something that Howard has had input into and that Peter is now publishing. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, I think those novels are out there.
Not only that, but he was more than happy, he said, to have a chat with us, discuss his father's work and his obviously his experience. I think he might have said he was on the set, I can't remember. Yeah. But he certainly knew a lot about Columbo, so I think we should try and make that happen at some point.
We did tell him we would try and make it happen. It's just a logistics issue. Yeah,
we'll definitely get around to it. Howard's fellow writer this week was Juanita Bartlett. She died in 2014, aged 86. She was a producer and writer. In terms of production, she was involved in 12 episodes of The Rockford Files, I think all the Rockford movies, The Greatest American Hero, Scarecrow and Mrs. King, Spencer for Hire. In terms of writing, 33 episodes of The Rockford Files, The Greatest American Hero, Scarecrow and Mrs. King, Toma, Bonanza, Little House on the Prairie, The Magician, Young Maverick, and The New Maverick. She worked for Roy Huggins and Stephen J. Cannell, and also Meta Rosenberg, who were the creators of the production team behind it. Apparently, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, but she was James Garner's former secretary. I think that's maybe a lead into the industry or into that circle. Yeah. She was twice Primetime Emmy nominated for The Rockford Files. Okay, where will we go? I'll tell you what, we'll start at the bottom. This one, one of the smallest parts. The Fence, you won't recognise him, but it was Ted White. He died in 2022, aged 96, a prolific actor and stuntman. But the reason I'm mentioning him is that he played Jason in Friday the 13th, the final chapter. Most people consider that to be the best one.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got
the best Jason.
The best movie. Okay, so the cast. Moss Williams was played by Eddie Fontaine. He died in 1992, aged just 65. This is his second of 4 Rockfords playing different characters. You would also have seen him potentially in The Gallant Men, The $6 Million Man, Quincy, Kojak, Ironside, Toma, or 77 Sunset Strip. In 1958, he recorded Nothing Shaken, which went to number 64 in the charts, but interestingly was a staple covered by the Beatles during their German time in Hamburg. Maria Valerie was played by Mary Fran, who died in 1998, even younger at the age of just 55. This is her first of 2 Rockfords. She was a child model and won the Junior Miss America aged 18. She has appeared in many hundreds of episodes of Days of Our Lives and was most famous for her role in Newhart. She's also been in Quincy, The Incredible Hulk, Cannon, and Lucky Chances. She lost out to Linda Gray for the role of Sue Ellen in Dallas. Quite big in the old charity front, and apparently the night before she died, she was on the streets for a homeless charity, doing her bit. Another Columbo connection. Did you recognise Harry Crown?
Burr
de Benning. He died in 2003, aged 66, so quite young.
Moderately young, yeah.
And of course, he played Captain Loomis in Columbo's By Dawn's Early Light, which was also
written by Howard Burke.
Yep. I think, in fact, his IMDb picture is from By Dawn's Early Light. You must have recognised Birch.
He certainly looked familiar.
Emmett Walsh.
Tell me about him.
I think he's been literally nearly 300 roles on TV and movies over the years.
Okay.
I'm not listing them all. He died in 2024, aged 88, and he has been in Blade Runner, Blood Simple, The Jerk, Knives Out, Sneaky Pete, Pound Puppies, The X-Files, Unsub, Bigfoot and Henderson's, Back to School, Red, Slapshot, The Sandy Duncan Show, But for me and for many people, he'll be best remembered as Dr. Jellyfinger Dolan in Fletch. Critic Roger Ebert admired his work, so much so that he created the Stanton-Walsh rule, which states that no movie featuring either Harry Dean Stanton or M. Emmett Walsh in a supporting role can be bad. Although after the Wild Wild West in 1999, he says that rule was broken.
Oh, the exception that proves it.
Back in his youth, he was roommates with William Devane in college. The conman Cutter, played by Gary Wahlberg, not Marky Mark's father, I don't think. He died in 2012, aged 90. We've discussed him in 2 shows. He was a detective in Columbo, Lady in Waiting.
Great episode, maybe the best.
Yeah, I know you're a big fan of that. And he was Hansen in Balance of Terror in the original Star Trek. Finally, we've got Kramer, played by Eric Server. Born in 1944, still alive, yay! First of 3 Rockfords. And has also been in Buck Rogers, BG and the Bear, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Matlock, Murder, She Wrote, A-Team, TJ, Hooker, Simon and Simon, Knight Rider, The Incredible Hulk, Emergency, Chips, The Streets of San Francisco, Police Story, Ironside, and The Mod Squad. Do you have any other trivia for us?
I don't, but going through those names makes you think it's quite a large enterprise that the Moss had going on there.
Yes.
There's at least 6 people involved.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. But again, $250,000 in the early 1970s. Yeah, maybe 5, 6 million. You pay them off. He takes 3 or 4 for himself, and the rest get $100,000 or $50,000.
Yeah, everyone's happy.
Again, watch this thing. A big cast as part of the con.
Fair enough. Next week?
Nope, a couple bits of trivia first before I let you all go. The theme tune, I think we should mention that.
It's really good.
Yeah. Written by the 2 powerhouses, Mike Post and Pete Carpenter. They did a lot of...
From the Carpenters.
It was released as a single and spent 2 weeks at number 10 on the Billboard Top 100 in 1975. Didn't know this. For more than 40 years, Tranmere Rovers have used it as their walkout music.
That's good, I like that. Because Everton do that, they've got Z cards.
Yes, they do. What have we got next week?
Next week we're going to dip our toes into a new show as we take a look at the Season 1 Petrocelli episode Edge of Evil with a couple of spacefaring guest stars.
Interesting, okay. Until then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.